Hello and welcome to Hot Topic. This is the show where we go deeper than the headlines and really examine what our media is telling us. These days, because of the Arab Spring, our media sources are covered by stories from the Middle East, and among them is our hot topic for today. Recently, I saw the big new conservative network in Canada discuss with an expert how women in Saudi Arabia are mistreated and oppressed. Since I was born in the capital of Saudi Arabia, I personally do know a thing or two about the country and its social norms. But to get away from my opinion, let's look at a few facts and interesting stats on the topic. For instance, UNICEF indicates that the ratio of literacy between men and women in Saudi Arabia is 89 literate women to every 100 literate men. I say that's pretty darn good considering that our media projects total illiteracy for women in the kingdom. Yes, the overall literacy rate in the country is not the best as compared with other countries, but this comparison between men and women is a clear indicator of the nature of women's rights in the kingdom. In fact, just in the last few months, Princess Noura bint Abdurrahman University has opened the doors to its newest campus in the capital, Riyadh. It is now the world's largest and most modern women's institution for higher education. In fact, it's a self-contained higher education city for women. The new campus can accommodate 40,000 students and 12,000 employees. It also has a 700-bed teaching hospital, research centers for nanotechnology, information technology, and biosciences. In my humble opinion, this is not the best way to oppress. But what do I know? Let's move on. One of the most talked about topics about Saudi women seems to be the so-called honor killings. Often overly publicized on Western news sources, an honor killing is statistically one of the least likely ways for a woman to die in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Yet the media is quick in dispatching any negative news associated with the kingdom. Similarly, the judicial system of Saudi Arabia is often in the news here in the West for the wrong reasons, for handing down lashings and other religious punishments to women. But not a fragment of news is ever delivered on the success of the system. Hundreds of thousands of women are let go free every year by proving their innocence in court, just like any other system. Or the fact that men are handed down harsher punishments for similar crimes in the kingdom. Every judicial system in the world makes mistakes, as is the case with Saudi Arabia. Judges all over the world often add their own bias to cases. Some may be racist, others sexist. Just like every other country, feedback by the public plays its role in keeping the system running smoothly. Western media is just unable to comprehend the notion that Islam assigns a certain role for women in society, just as men have their own role to play in keeping the society functioning properly. Islam is more than just a religion. It is an entire way of life for its followers, and there are rules for both men and women. Naturally, Saudi Arabia, being an Islamic country, follows these rules and treats each gender differently. If one understands the following fact, then he or she will be better able to understand why Muslim women in Saudi Arabia do not feel oppressed. In Islam, men are equal to men and women are equal to women. There's no direct comparison between them because they are fundamentally different creations by God. In terms of physique, it is no secret that men and women are different, but ask any psychologist and they'll tell you that men and women have very different mental states. Men are better at certain things, while women are better at other things. Western ideals are always trying to compare men and women against each other, which is the wrong way of approaching the sexes. You know what that means? It's example time! Take the topmost women athlete, let's say in basketball or swimming, and put her against the topmost men in that particular sport. There'll be a lot of difference between the two, correct? The same way comparing men and women in any arena is unrealistic. Before pointing a finger at other cultures, Western media should look at this society and how it treats women. The fact is, women here in the West are just as often mistreated by the men around them. Women here are looked upon as objects for pleasure and are abused by our society every day by having to conform to magazine cover-like ideals. Due to the ravaged nature of society that we have created, most women we come across every day are more concerned with their looks than their education. They know if they do not look par with society's unrealistic projected images, they will not get anywhere in this hypocritical and self-centered society. From sexual connotations about women in the media to the ravaged nature of our streets, everywhere you look, everything is forcing women here in the West to strip down and doll up when they're in public. In other words, to project a fake image of themselves to the world, for the viewing pleasure of any man with a set of eyes. You know what that means? Example time. Once there was an ad I saw trying to sell a car. Let me set this up for you. There was a lady in skimpy clothes in the car which they were trying to sell, and the caption underneath read, "Do you want to test drive her?" If that is the role of women here in the West, then I believe Saudi Arabia is all right protecting their women's dignity and respect from such a derogatory society.